and miscellaneous. Now janitorial, doesn't that fall under the other area? Why are they?
They get their own janitorial support,
Okay.
that's separate.
And it's shared, I think, between the police budget and dispatch.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta check that though, because are they, wondering if we would wanna, I guess no, combining it probably doesn't. I was just saying, I don't think it's gonna matter, right, Gina, combining it? I was just thinking we could just charge the police department, but if it was all in the aid fund anyway, it's not gonna matter.
Their janitorial services?
Yeah,
I think it's really the supplies,
supplies,
Yeah.
okay, so.
because the numbers,
I think the way we have Eva set up is her number is for both departments, police and the office here. So that number there is supplies, it's not Eva's service. She's being all paid out of the 15.
That's what I figured.
yeah.
And they just increased it by $22 from last year.
Okay. Okay, so next is police. Again, it's the overtime question. What do we want to do for police overtime as far as a number?
You said it was at like 10%, wasn't it?
Police was, I can give you the number, you know.
But see, this is where I'm not seeing the numbers correct. If,
It's not totalizing it there. The way this ledger works, you're getting what the budget calls for, and then you get the list of expenses, but there's no totalizing. It totalizes at the end, so.
no, but last year if it was 881,000, and
881, where are you looking?
I'm looking at a
Oh, you're
police
looking at the
salary.
budget, okay.
Yeah,
All right, 881, that's the
Right,
actual. yeah.
right, and then now this year we're budgeting 910.
Mhm.
Where are we taking out the overtime on that? If we put in whatever overtime we put in, that's a much bigger jump.
It's true. It's true.
So,
Let me look, hold on, let me see if I can, answer
you know what I'm saying?
that. Yeah, it's a good point.
Are you on police contractual there?
Well, no, I was just going through a worksheet on
Right,
overtime for dispatch, and the request for overtime was 5,500. Now, we're slotting in 10,000?
who requested 50?
Well, that might be the is that Kenny's number?
Yeah.
We gotta look at that. Let's look at that, because when we talked to Kenny, he said his number was plus 2%. I don't remember a discussion of overtime. So if he's factored that in, then we gotta rethink about that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's not double it.
I agree.
No,
Well, that's the other thing,
we
is
gotta-
he's
we gotta
already
verify
factored
that,
in-
because.
He's factoring his overtime in these numbers also, and now we're adding overtime.
Yeah, because I didn't calculate his
Dispatch.
salary lines.
Okay.
He turned in his salary lines. Hang on, let me see.
See, what we need to do is now, we're doing 10, but should we be pulling, should this 219 now be 209?
Right. Yeah, we gotta look, we'll look at the sheet, let's see if there was, something there. Okay, so your totals for your full-time police officers is, 603,000 regular, 65,000 overtime, and 29,000 other. And again, I think other includes the chart days and some other things.
That's a little over 10%, it's 11%.
Yeah, it's 11% for the overtime. But again, you do also have the other. Now, let's get his worksheet to see if that's listed on the salary. Okay, he factors in increases, 2% in the longevity increases, which is by contract. He's factoring in the items like vacation, holiday, chart days, sick days, personal days, those are all being added in. I don't see on the police department line, the only overtime that's listed is for court demonstrations, investigations, and special events. That lists as $12,000. That's a far cry from the experience of last year. So then then the next question then would be, is it dispatching overtime of similar bent? Or is it, yeah, see here it's listed as overtime, so it's like two different approaches.
But I'm also concerned with the fact that, I know that's only budget, we don't have actual for this year, but the actual for 2 years ago was 2,000, or 202,000, and it's jumping $17,000 in that period, where the jump here is only from 2012 to 2013, is only $2,000 jump. And now it jumps another $15,000 in
What
one
are we
year.
figuring on the contract?
I'm just talking dispatch. Now coming down to the other one, now we're jumping another huge, we're talking 881 for 2012. It's a $30,000 jump. What is he budgeting for? And
Well,
what
he's
is
got,
the
he's,
change?
he's got it itemized.
I see that, but what I'm saying is, and even last year, it was, we actually went, the budgeted portion was down $4,000 to $877,000 in the police department salary. So we're actually going up over $30,000. I understand he has it budgeted, but that's not normal for me when I see
No,
that.
well, again, that's his wish of what he believes his expenses are. Remember, they were trimmed also, okay? This is, if you look at his, the items he factored in there, you know, he's adding, you know, 4th of July, 200 hours. That's $5,000 right there. A lot of the stuff up above is based on, oh, you know what the other big difference is? Remember, now I remember what happened here. Remember he said that he didn't budget for certain things before?
I see that right now, vacation
And then
days, holidays, sick days.
Vacation, and also
All that.
Fernandez,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Fernandez.
Budget or overtime
So,
to fill
yeah,
in.
I remember now, he was talking about.
Where's that money coming from?
What do you mean?
To pay Fernandez?
It's basically coming out of, if it's not budgeted for, it's coming out of the treasury, potentially out of fund balance,
For 5 years.
okay? Because remember, your budget's an estimate, okay? It's not an actual.
Right.
And what, you know, look,
Well,
I'll tell you right
here's-
now,
here's-
there's thousands of transactions that we're talking
Right.
about right here. A couple are going to slip through.
Right.
We're not, all of us aren't gonna capture every single one. The key thing is to make sure that we don't miss a big one, okay?
Here's my thing. On these days that he budgeted here, vacation, holidays, sick days, chart days, personal days, one of his things he said was, oh, they don't take them all, it
Right,
doesn't all
that's
happen
if
a
they
year.
take everything on the
Right.
books they take.
I don't wanna give him all that money. I think this needs to go into a fund where we have to approve it, because if we give him all the money and they don't use the days, he'll spend it.
Yeah, but, well, no, not necessarily. If you have the overtime line,
Right, not just the overtime line, but I'm talking vacation, holiday, sick chart, they're not using,
yeah, but those are, you're on the hook for those.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying. I know we're
You're
on the
saying put
hook,
that money,
Right.
that 20, 16, 16, 15, for into like a reserve.
some kind of other fund, so it's not in his general fund to spend. So that, cause these people, exactly what's happening with Pat Patterson. These people are saving all their vacation days, and now we're dumping an extra $20,000 that we did not expect to spend. That wasn't budgeted to spend.
That's part
Can
of
we do
the
that?
course for all villages in town.
I know that, but can we set this money, rather than saying, because what's
This
happening is,
overtime though,
if
right?
we give him this money
This
in
money he's
his
figuring,
regular
this
budget,
money he's figuring
he's gonna
is
spend it.
overtime to cover if these
So
people take
put
off.
it in a reserve? Because
Again, that's what I heard when he talked.
It'll get
So,
paid
I mean, at
out
least
at
put
some
that
point.
money, the exact
Right,
money,
but-
in the overtime line.
Let's say they only
Yeah.
use half their vacation days
We're
this
just
year.
moving it. It's not
Yes.
Then we know that
Not
they only use
cutting it out.
10,000, not 20,000. If we
But
just give
again,
them 20,000.
factoring in the fact that he
He'll spend
didn't
it
budget
overtime.
He is
for
allowed to
Fernandez.
buy
Now,
it.
look, I'll tell you right now,
That's
the
how-
the Fernandez situation, if it gets
Right.
resolved,
Savings.
all of a sudden now,
That's what I'm trying to do.
you've got a good
Right.
position, okay? So remember, with the Fernandez situation, if it resolves, then you don't have this $83,000. The 83 plus the benefits.
Right.
So tack on 20 for health, I believe he takes family, So talk,
Fernandez?
he takes single, all right, so add 8,000 to that, so now you're at 90s, 91, 92. So, you know, look, it's hard to drill down completely to exactly what's gonna be used, because you could have a line for overtime, but then you could have another one for potential benefits, but it's, you cost us to a point where it can become more difficult to understand.
Right, my only thing is, it's 20, 40, 60, it's about $70,000 in this area right here, with the
Yeah.
vacation holiday. Obviously, they're gonna be taking some of those this year. They're gonna be, guys are gonna be taking sick days, they're gonna be taking vacation days, chart days in the year. But they're saving a lot of these days.
Okay, but again, so my comment to that would be, if you budget your police budget, you're saying that that money will be left over and that money will be used for overtime?
Or whatever he wants, correct?
Which has to go, it's salary, so it's coded as salary.
Alright.
So could another extra person be put on a shift, or could you
All I'm
use
saying
more
is.
part-time or
No,
something?
what I'm saying is, I don't want it spent without our notification. So yes, in this section, I'm saying, yeah, he can spend it on overtime, we're not gonna know about it till down the road that he started spending it on overtime. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
then, I guess then if you wanna do straight salary, you're looking more at your $700,000 number.
Well,
And then everything
Am I,
else.
am I micromanaging it too much? That's it.
I think you have two problems. One is the, Margaret being able to capture the different iterations. Like, it's easy for her to do overtime and salary, but if we start breaking it out to, your vacation, holiday, sick chart days and all of that in another line, I don't know, Gina, you probably would be the best person. It becomes a little bit difficult.
Cumbersome, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, I guess it's a matter of, maybe. let's see.
I'm okay with, as long as you're telling me that we have the control and we're not gonna, at $75,000.
Well-
And my other thing is that,
There's no absolute control.
right,
The reason for putting the overtime line in there is you'll be able to go right into that code. You could go right into KVS, or ask Anna or me, go right in, what have we spent on overtime so far this year? And you can get it on demand. You don't need to wait for Margaret to be
Right.
able to dig it out or whatever. That,
the other end of this is, at the end of the year, like the end of this year, we only spent, let's say we had, I don't know, was it budgeted like this last year? Broken down?
overtime.
As far as vacation days, holidays, sick days, chart days?
Yeah, I
I think
believe,
it was.
I believe
Okay.
you did the
So
same
let's say
way.
we only use $12,000 in vacation days. Are we gonna take the other $8,000 and put it in a fund so that we are not hit with a massive bill when one of our full-timers retires or whatever? That's what I'm asking.
You can do that, but.
Is that a waste?
But
Well-
budget time right now with the week before the budget is due is a hard time to start trying to figure
Okay.
out that number.
And these costs are actually the best possible costs, because
Right,
these
these
are
are- if they do it
part-timers.
all.
It's the part-timers' cost to fill that, as opposed to overtime of the full.
Right, correct.
So that aspect of his budget, I think, actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay, so I think, let's start with the overtime, see how it goes, and we can always expand it and break it down. You know, what you're talking about, Mayor, is activity-based costing, which is
Right.
done, but you have somebody full-time following that stuff, and typically it's with firms that are 50 million or more in expenses. It's hard to do it on a much smaller scale here. And then the other question is are you gonna get your payback with the amount of time that goes into generating that,
Okay.
as to whether or not you're gonna get a return for that time. I think activity-based costing is good, but it does require much more observation. So why don't let's start with the overtime line and see how that works for us. And if we wanna get even more creative next year, with breaking it down even more. Let's talk about it, in February, where we can start to, maybe pick a couple other categories. But we also have to remember that every category we do, we have to code it with another code. And that means that the payroll clerk's gonna have to also factor that in. So it can become busy.
Going up to, back to central dispatch for a minute, central communication. If we're putting in $10,000 for overtime, are we taking that out of the 219, so it's 209? Because basically what we're doing now is giving them an extra $10,000.
I have to tell you, this $5,500 for overtime, I don't know where that number came from.
No,
Because
but-
it doesn't match any.
Right, but
I
if
don't
we're
know
saying
what-
10,000, what
Yeah.
I'm saying is,
What's
there's
the
no
number?
budget, they're not asking for any money for overtime, they're already factoring that in. So if we're saying,
That's assumed, yes.
Right.
Ken Scott never said that, as far as I remember when he
Okay.
sat here, okay? Now, you can read, it says 5,500 for overtime, and it's not clear. My question is, how did that number get derived? Because when your experience last year was 30,000,
right,
what is that telling you?
oh, I agree. But what I'm saying is, when we're trying to cut, I want a separate line for overtime, but I don't wanna give them say the police, I don't wanna give them 910,000 plus $15,000 for overtime.
I agree.
It's gotta come off of their 910.
So I would suggest that maybe we talk to the police chief tomorrow and ask him to clarify this.
It's 55,
I'm sorry?
that number there, 55?
55, where's that, what's that based on? Okay, is he saying that we don't need 30,000, we only need 5,500? That'd be great if that's what's being advertised here, but we can't assume that, because that's a big change, that's $25,000.
His breakout.
I'm sorry?
This is his breakout, salaries, and then.
I know, my question is it was 30,000 last year.
For central communication?
Yes, so how are we at 5,500, what's changed?
The use
Two
of
part-timers.
part-time.
Okay, if he says that, then we can feel more comfortable with that number. I don't remember the discussion about
I thought
overtime.
maybe he said he factored so much of that's in
Right.
because a certain percentage was attributed to dispatcher. I think he said something, but I forgot.
Whether it's
How we adjust it.
55 or 10,000, we've gotta adjust the number above it. So the number above it, because that's basically what we're saying here, it's in a line item. The number above it,
Yes.
if we're going 10,000
We don't
for
want
today,
double budget.
right,
for it.
it's
Right.
209. So above it right now, until he fixes it and says 5,000, it's 5,500, that's what he wants. If he only wants 5,500,
Yeah, but
I'll only give him
I'm not
5,500.
comfortable with 5,500
I know you
personally.
aren't.
Okay, you guys just decided that you wanted it to be 10,
Right,
okay? And you guys are gonna be the most conservative when it comes to what you want there. 5,500 seems remarkably low. I'd
Right.
just like to get a little bit more support to back that up. Okay.
But they do have, well, it goes back to what the mayor was talking about, and there could be sort of an artificial cushion in that people aren't taking all their sick days or aren't taking all their vacation days. So
Right.
the part-timers are not being used for those shifts.
correct.
And between that and the 5,500 that is budgeted overtime, you end up with the $30,000.
You also have to
that they
remember
spent.
there's that $9,000 in training.
Now, answer me this, Batman.
That factors in.
Yeah, you looked right up too, which is great. Chart days, are those automatic? They're definitely taken every year?
Yeah,
Yes, they're user
yeah.
limits.
Okay. See, because to me, vacation days, now holidays, those are automatic. They happen, we have to pay people, right?
Right, but holidays is not necessarily always they're off that day. If they're working, they're getting time along with pay.
Which is what this is, right?
That's if they take those holiday days. Like if today's 4th of July, I'm working, I work 8 hours, I'll get 8 hours of holiday time.
Right.
Scheduled on
Use
the
tomorrow,
holiday, right.
now you gotta put a part-timer to fill that spot.
Okay. My thing is, so that chart days we're definitely using, so that 15,000,
That is
that's
hard.
definitely, so now we're down to 60-ish of the cushion. If we use half, I'm thinking about where we're cutting. Okay, I don't wanna cut viciously on the police, but at the same time, I'm not gonna give them all of this if we're not automatically gonna put it into a fund so that we're not killed when vacation day comes along. And this is best case scenario.
Well, then,
The only problem is if they do,
If they do take
if they do take
everything,
everything, we're screwed.
But you have to budget for worst case, yeah. But
I'm just saying, it's still, okay, it's $15,000 more than last year. That's all I'm saying.
But again, he stated that he didn't budget for things in the previous year that he's doing now.
Right, I'm saying it's 15,000 more than the actual. I'm not talking about budgeted, I'm talking about actual.
Yeah, okay, but that's
because
not,
instead of 5,000 overtime, it was 30,000, so that's how you end up with a much larger figure.
yeah, look, at the end of the day, your baseline number, you know, you got training, you've got 16 plus, you got $30,000 in training for the police department. Okay? I don't know if that number changed dramatically from last year, it's not clear.
Is all that training mandatory? I mean, is it mandatory training, or is it just training they would like to have? I know some of it is mandatory, but,
Yeah, well, some of it I'm sure is the, range training.
Right.
You know, 8 full-time officers by 32 hours, Anthony, what's your experience with training? Those numbers,
32 hours is not a lot.
that's not a lot. Okay.
it's required training.
Not all of it, but, I mean, the firearms is required, any kind of OSHA, like emergency equipment, first aid, stuff, training like that.
He's mentioned the taser.
Taser, recertification of like first responder courses and.
I mean, if, we could always cut non-mandatory training too, I mean,
You can,
you know.
non-mandatory,
You
yeah.
know,
'Cause that's like bonus stuff, that's like, I
If need,
wanna
if
go,
need be.
I wanna go to a,
That's our, we need that category of the if need, if we're over the cap still.
Training.
Well, that's the other thing,
Yeah, right,
also, I
for police, 23? Okay, so there's 7,000 more for training.
If we're tight, out. Because they should be.
What? What, police training, 23,000,
That's what I want to talk about afterwards.
How about if we do this, looking at everything here, how about if we set the salary at 205, that's $15,000, and we factor in a $15,000 overtime
that's what you
in the
would basically
overtime
do.
line, is that what you wanna do?
I just like to cut everything up 100,000 and be done with it, but sure. that's
Well,
fine.
you are, look, to some degree, you are cutting, to some, because there's.
If we went to one person instead of two, we can cut it in half right now and go home.
Yeah,
One
but
person won't.
On patrol.
you've got,
There you
look,
go.
here, a big.
So you're
piece-
saying 15,000 for overtime for the dispatch?
Yeah, it's 50%.
Or are you saying, is that for
of the-
police or
That's
dispatch?
dispatch.
Okay, so we're going up?
And that includes the training.
Oh, we're going down above.
No, up on the, we had said 10,000, but now we're
Right.
15.
Yeah, so you're going 15 and 205 for the salary, which equates to the same
Yeah.
total number.
Right.
We end up with the same.
You end up with
It's all, it's all about
And the reason,
putting it in the right line.
the only reason
It's
I'm
actually
saying that is
$200
because
more than they asked for.
it advertises 5,500 for overtime, but then you do have to factor in that maybe training was part of that. So it's actually $14,000, $15,000.
So let's go 205 and let's go 14, just so that we're not over what they're asking for. Because they're not even asking for that much, so let's go 14,000. Give me 1,000.
Well, you've got 15. Training, you have training, 80 hours, and then 640 hours for 4 new hires. Again, I'm telling you, are there gonna be 4 new hires in the department? Part-timers? In the dispatching this year?
I'd like to see at least 2, depending on, and it's basically to keep the overtime down.
Okay, but remember, this is worst case that he's
Right.
budgeting.
The problem with dispatchers though, and that's why they're saying 4, and that's actually not out of control. That's because unlike police, I think we're losing dispatchers quicker than.
There's a lot of turnover.
There's more turnover in dispatchers than there is in the,
And you
police.
didn't have to use those numbers they asked for the dispatch before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll leave it 205 and 15. Mayor, I would recommend maybe you talk to the police chief tomorrow and just ask him about his factoring in here. and what we're gonna do with the dispatchers in there, and just have him comment. Okay,
Not a
if he
problem.
feels strongly that, look, you're gonna cut me too much, or the other way, you know, I think it's worthy of getting clarification there.
Right.
What do you have on the central communication salary, 205?
205 and 15,000 for the overtime line. Okay. Police salary now, when we look at this here, there is, training, $30,000 worth of training, was 23 last time. Overtime for court, demonstrations, investigations, 12,000. So, you know, there's probably some room there. And the Fernandez line here, as far as, because the vacancy, because he has to fill that shift, because he's light duty, there's 90,000 right there,
Right.
90 plus. So I think you have room to trim the police salary down.
What would you recommend that?
It all depends on what we think about what will happen with the light duty situation.
Right.
Because that is a huge piece of this.
I know, it's a big, but, you know, that's, how do you throw a dart at that thing?
What are we doing for overtime for the police?
My impression is that it's gonna be dealt with one way or another in the next several months. It has to be, because all the information that I understand is that there's good potential to resolve it. Okay? And we can talk about that offline.
Okay.
All right? But I would probably not budget the full ride of the police for Fernandez.
Okay.
What my recommendation would be is very much based on what the response we get from legal.
I haven't heard anything on that. I'll talk to him.
That would help, that guidance would help us big time in this decision, because if the guidance is that inevitably we would be able to solve it in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, I would cut that $40,000 right off. That helps you, you know, if we can pull 40, that really, because so far we really haven't done much trimming, to be
I
honest
know.
with you. Okay, so, and I don't believe that you would be falling out of the quote norms of budgeting by making an educated guess on that, with all the information that we know.
So you wanna take half of the salary with the benefits and deduct it out of that?
I would say if we have favorable guidance, that would be a fair thing to do. And you can back it up, because you had those discussions. Okay. So if we backed off that expense, we're now looking at numbers equal to the budget of 2013-14. So maybe you set it at like 885, so that trims off 25,000, and then you can put in an overtime. Well, let's see, if he's,
He's rolling in.
huh, what's that?
He's rolling in.
Well, he's rolling in 30, 42, he's rolling in about $50,000 in potential overtime costs. Okay, and their experience, police department's experience for overtime was
80. I thought.
65 plus 30, which is the other, which others I'm assuming is training. I'd have to quantify that, but it's categorized in, I believe, chart days, training, those type of things. So you're looking at $95,000, which is running about maybe 12%, 12% overtime. So if he's right now budgeting 50, he's trimmed it.
That's not counting all the training, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm adding training, I'm adding everything on page 2. And the special events, which is about $7,000. So you've got 7, 25, 32, 40, 50, about $53,000. And the experience was here was 65, so you might have trimmed 10. So I think you're safe in curtailing curtailing that number down to 885. And throwing in, let's see, 5% of this number is about $40,000 on the overtime line. So trimming his estimates down by about 15,000.
Right, but now we're over his number again by like $5,000.
Again, because you're still weighing the Fernandez piece of 40 grand. Okay, I'm going by what he said to us.
I know.
So do we want to put a $40,000? So our net is it increases 15,000. Or do you want, to do it lower? You want to have what was experienced last year? Make it 30, 35? Because remember, this number, you will be alerted when this number hits, because there'll be no more money in that account, and you'll have to transfer money to that account.
That's as long as we have someplace to transfer it from.
Well, you do have, you have your contingency.
Yeah, I know, but I just, I'd rather have budgeted a little bit more and spent a little less. I don't know, half the overtime is a lot.
Look, if the board manages this very well from day one, I would feel comfortable with a $30,000 number. If the board doesn't feel like they're gonna be able to dedicate the time to really be able to watch every payroll, then you might want your cushion, 10,000. But
Am I wrong here?
it's hard for me to say that.
The 910,000 he's already including all his costs in, correct?
Right.
So we shouldn't be going over 910 to combine. If we're looking at $40,000 for overtime, to me it should be 40,000 minus the 910, so he should be getting 775, right? 770, 870.
Yeah, I'm only saying this because I don't remember him discussing that he built in overtime into this amount. Even though the paper says certain
Right.
overtime things, I just don't know if it's in its entirety. If it is, then Mayor, what you're saying is accurate. I just don't know the answer to that. So
I
I'm
will
kind of
find that
sitting
out
on the
tomorrow.
conservative
Yeah,
side.
Before we,
You know, it's not salary. Let's keep going.
Okay.
you know,
All right, so right now I've just got 885 and 40. Any thoughts about that? Is that okay?
The overtime number's 40?
40 right now.
Okay.
So that puts him at 925 total.
Okay.
You gotta also remember too, if we beef this up a little bit, it will help us in the back pay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But if this becomes a problem for the 2%, we might have to walk it back anyway.
Yeah, I guess I'm having the same difficulty that we're accommodating even more overtime in reality
Another
by
20,000 off it.
upping
what he requested by 15,000.
That's because we're not sure that all that overtime is rolled in. We're assuming that.
Yes, that's my question.
That's why, and he finds that out tomorrow
Yeah,
or.
I
He's
don't,
up or down, yeah.
unless somebody else remembers, I don't remember when he was talking that he said he factored in all the overtime in his number. I remember he said he added 2%, but I don't recall
I
that
think,
comment.
I
He
think
added-
that's what he was saying, that he didn't budget for prior, and that's why this is broken down like this. I'm assuming, that's why it's not a good idea to go 100% on it.
Well, he did provide the breakout, including longevity and 2%. And then all the different items that would technically be covered by a part-timer or end up in overtime.
We'll get the
We'll go back to
certified,
it.
we'll get the certified number from him as to what he factored in. If he said, look, I factored all the overtime in, then I would definitely walk this number back. And I would also factor in maybe having the Fernandez piece too. Okay, so that, if that's, again, the biggest thing with the police is that light duty problem, because that makes all the difference in the world.
Right.
It's such a big piece of
Makes
the
an
budget.
$83,000
It's
difference.
90-something because you had the health benefits and stuff to it too. Did you get her? Okay, all right, so do we wanna leave 885 and 40 right now?
Might as well, we can always change it.
Yeah, I mean.
It's gonna come down
Yeah, we're
from
gonna
here.
have to tighten it up or.
No, I'm gonna, Wednesday we'll continue this, okay? All right, traffic control, that number's based on the input that he made. One crossing guard, that's standard, and then line painting. Let's see, parking, you see the parking, that was, again, reinstituted that salary, which is why I upped the amount for revenue expected from meters. Okay, but again, there is also a decent sized equipment addition there. And, the contractual.
Why the
So-
equipment addition?
The equipment was batteries for parking meters, meter parking tickets, and miscellaneous keys, tools, machine repair. And then meter housing, 6 at $187 each. That's in, I believe that's in response to doubling up the meters.
How much
So-
are they?
187. Okay, continuing on. And what I would say is we don't necessarily have to cut this stuff now, but between now and Wednesday.
Ken? Ken, can you hear me? I have a question on your numbers. I know you don't have them in front of you, but your totals for central communication and police department salaries, that's everything built in, including the overtime? Well, you don't have any line for we're trying to separate a line out for overtime. So rather than just write a number in, that number is gonna have to be taken off your total. So you don't have a line for overtime, so I'm assuming that your number includes everything, including the overtime. Okay,
Whatever he says, we'll go with whatever he says.
right. Right, okay. Good to go. Thank you.
Okay, so everything's included.
Yep,
On the 910 number, that's all it was?
yep. So at the very least, we don't wanna go over that number.
No,
Because we're gonna cut that on top of it, so we're
Well,
gonna take
again,
off.
here's your decisions. Do you want to cut the Fernandez in half with
Yes.
the understanding that that should be resolved 6 months into the year? Is that a fair, I think that's a fair assumption.
I say yes, and I think we have some cushion also because we're not really touching any of this,
Right.
which they're not going to use all year. So we have that cushion anyway. So I think that we should.
Okay, all right. All right, so if we want to break out overtime, and let's say we want to do 50% of what's out there, at 65,000, 50% is about 33,000. So do we want to put 33 as the overtime line? Do we want to put 35?
33.
Okay, so we have 33 plus 40, that's 73,000 off of 910. Follow me?
Yes.
Okay, So that puts us at 837. Plus 33 puts us at 870, which is
Around.
$10,000 less than 2012-13. And probably similar money,
Right.
maybe a little more off this year, because remember, they've dramatically cut back on their overtime, okay?
But you do need to recalculate the base salary based on what it really will be under the new contract.
Yeah, well, are you talking about the additional amounts? Because he's got that factored in just for this year. He doesn't have the back.
I thought he
Is that
said
your
2%, didn't he?
He did, he added 2%. Is that what you're asking, Charlie?
It's 2.5, but
Oh, 2.5 for the, yeah, two and a half.
For the last
Yeah,
year.
so going forward, it's 2.5.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, so we're talking 0.5%, that wasn't, so 0.5%, I'm just doing a mental math, so hang on a second. Half a percent of, is about $5,000 off of 900. Yeah, 10% is 90,000, 5% is 45.
Mhm.
1/5 of that is 5.
um,
5,000.
This one.
So do we want to,
875?
That's the base salary.
Okay.
it
So
would be
we-
842, 842 and 33,000.
Done. So a total of 875.
So we added 5,000 for the extra 0.5%. Somebody back me up on my calculator, okay, because I'm using my head.
I'm with you, that's fine. Okay. Equipment,
Okay, equipment is another one, there's
just
30,000
Yeah.
put in for a vehicle.
35,000.
For 35,000, do we want to just see the reserve fund?
That's up to.
The police vehicle,
Exactly.
the police vehicle thing is it's gonna be a problem,
no,
but not this year.
nope. At most, I would say 10,000 to the,
You wanna do a police reserve fund?
Yep. What is it, through 30 or 35 he wants to
He
be?
wanted 35 plus 750 for lettering on the vehicle.
750? So kill the lettering, kill the vehicle, and we're putting 10,000 in the reserve fund.
10,000 for reserve. Okay, so that'll be a capital equipment reserve.
We talked about it already, but we didn't do it officially.
Yeah, I'm gonna add the actual reserve line in here, okay? And I'll populate it with 10,000. So this drops off 35,000 for police equipment?
Yep, well, let's
Alright,
not
so that
stop there,
becomes-
hold on.
What about the deluxe?
Yeah, hold on. One second. Glock pistols.
Now, they currently use Glocks, so it's not a change in ammunition or anything like that.
I don't know, I'm not aware.
Definitely, I don't wanna take anything off the ballistic vest, I think that's a good move. The computers, these are this is his switch out, Gina? 8,000?
Yeah, I think it's more than that, the server. I mean, he needs,
And it needs to happen this year. I'm just,
they've been in need of computers. If it could happen for them, I'd say it would be good, because they've
Okay.
been,
I'd rather keep the computers than do something about the Glocks.
right, now,
Well, remember also they're XP,
comment?
You
correct?
you don't need to replace it.
Are they XPs?
They're-
Okay, so they're,
I mean, you could put money in for breakage, but clocks don't break.
they're plastic, right? Mostly
Mostly plastic, just the top is metal. And they've done so much testing on Glocks, they drop them off 10-story buildings and they don't break.
I have no problem putting like a breakage and even a little something,
Yeah.
almost like,
You can even start a reserve fund.
that's what I'm
for-
saying, like, something we don't need to replace. I agree, I think the computers, we need to we need to update, and know that we did that.
Okay.
'Cause that's a nice big chunk today.
You're gonna have to upgrade the computers because they're XP.
Right.
And
So-
XP is gonna stop
And that-
being backed up. Well, the problem is that then it's gonna be open to hacking. Once XP goes away, they won't support it, so they won't update the viruses and any of that
Right.
stuff. So then it will be very
We
susceptible.
can't afford that
You
in the police.
you wanna know something very interesting? ETMs are largely run by XP, and they're changing all those out. Because could you imagine if they're hacking into the ATM?
We're already doing it, so how much easier
Wow,
is
they're
it
putting
gonna
those readers, but here they could actually physically break into the software. So if you notice, or you'll notice, a lot of ATMs are getting retrofitted with new software.
be? What killed me is, then if that's such a big issue, why are they not supporting the XP anymore?
It's, Microsoft has so many products since XP that it's not profitable for them to do it.
Horrible.
And I think there's also like, I think they have to support it for like 7 years or something past their generation date, and then after their,
My wife was telling me about, that's what she used to do, so that's,
yeah,
understand.
yeah, so I think that's probably a good,
Do you,
good
do you
expense.
fix Glocks?
You can fix, if something damages.
I mean, he's asking for pistols, but I didn't see in last year or anything like that, I didn't see any lines for repair of weapons. So do we set 1,000 aside for a reserve fund?
For repairs?
Well, no, for
Well, that's two,
new weapons.
that's two.
I don't know, I have to
That's
check
small
if there's a
price.
reserve fund for that, I'm not sure that
Right.
they
I
provide
think
that.
it's too small.
Yeah,
it is,
It's under
yeah.
10,000.
So we don't need
Well,
to.
See the vehicles because it's a.
Right.
There is potential equipment reserves, but I just don't know if they're type or specific, if they're specific.
Well, equipment
They
reserves,
have to be maintained now, or they won't be running.
right, my thing is on the equipment reserves could be, again, and this is not something we have to do on this budget thing, but something we may want to look for is, because you have the weapons, you have the vests, you know, there are 2 or 3 other things with the police that are important. So, and it's, this year, that he only wants 1,800, because he's switching out 4 vests. So, now you have tasers, Glocks, and vests. So that's $17,000 on just those 3 items, and those are all equipment. So that's my thing, and I'm not saying, I'm saying definitely we're going with the vests.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with doing the tasers. Is that 1 taser? I think
I
it,
thought it was
4? Did I hear?
Yeah, replace all 4 of them.
I thought he said 4.
no, I thought it was I think we have
Let's
2,
bring it
let's
up
bring
to
it up to
4.
4.
Bring it up
So
to
2
4,
more.
okay.
So they're like two.
That's because he was like, if
2,200.
they're getting old,
Right.
they have a shelf life, and if they go out, then
Right.
they won't carry
And
them.
I have no problem with that either, because I think we need to at least bring it up to that point. So the tasers and the ballistic vests are good to go. The Glocks, $1,000 to fix, repair, or to just let it go with whatever
Just
they're,
let it go, just knock
we'll
it
kill
out
it.
of the bucket.
We're gonna kill the whole 990 then out of the budget.
Okay, so.
Another 9,900.
So we've got 35, we're gonna take 10, so it's 25, and then another 10,000.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking at 35,000 off of this number. Actually,
Yes.
no, 45, because 10's going into, so you're leaving this with 15,000.
The equipment,
Yep,
that's what will be left in it?
yep,
15?
15 plus the 25, because you're knocking the Glocks off. I think that's correct. 15K, so total of 25, because you've got the 10,000 Glocks off and 25,000 of the 35,000 off of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So your net is 35,000 off, so you should have 25,000 remaining, which is what you do. Okay, so 15, and then contractual, 95,000, that's an increase of 8,000 off of the previous year for contractual.
$800 for water.
I don't wanna mess with their chi, and how they're feeling. But my only thing is that they're the only group we're providing water for. And we're not providing for the clerks, we're not providing for the water department, we're not providing for sewer department. So I'm thinking their PBA might wanna jump on that $800 and supply them with that, because we're not. Well, there you are.
We can ask.
There you are. Well, then why are we, gee, we got a bottle over here, it's not a cup from the fountain. We don't do it for anyone else, so that's my only thing. It's $800. If it was $300, I would say, hey, give him some water. The extra 5, I'm over the top.
And it's doubling what it was
Cut
last
the
year.
ammunition.
Oxygen may actually be on the high side, since, you know, we bought the
Right.
canisters last year.
He actually said that. He said it might be, but he didn't know, he didn't have enough data to bring it down to another number.
You probably have a little room in fuel,
Right.
probably have a little room in repairs, vehicle repairs. So you might find maybe $5,000 between those two. A lot of the other stuff, I don't know, it's gonna be hard to knock anything else off dramatically. There's not much that's nice to have.
Well, I'm hoping if we're spending 8,000 on the new computers, that the computer repair line will go down. That's just me.
I believe computer repair covers service and support, correct, Jan?
Oh, is that just a straight fee?
No, it might not be all of it, but it might be part of it.
Labor.
The labor,
And,
the maintenance agreement.
yeah,
So you're gonna have a little bit of maintenance agreement built into that.
Right.
But I thought that was Impact, isn't that computer?
That's different computer.
Oh,
Impact, I believe, is their ability to find out information on people, that's the laptops. Again, Anthony, is that right? I'm thinking that's what it is.
I think, I'm not sure. We don't use it.
So,
10,000?
well, I found 5 if you want. You know, you can take 10% on the fuel, because 10% gives you $3.60 a gallon for fuel.
Right.
We don't pay taxes on fuel, so we should be paying low, like maybe $3.30 a gallon. That's another area of opportunity, if we go to a fuel card scenario.
Right, better control on
Yeah.
top.
Yeah. So if you take 10% off, you've got $3,600 in your fuel, and another $1,400 on vehicle repairs, so you got $5,000 there. I don't know any of the other ones, you know, those are the two easiest to pick off. I think you'd probably be safe, maybe 7,500. Because ultimately, if things are tight, you can cut back on conferences. The professional dues, you have $1,200 in professional dues. You know, it's probably important to be at least part of some of those organizations.
Right.
and that stayed static. That,
Yeah, that's not gonna change dramatically. You know, you have the miscellaneous there, you might find a little bit there. Uniform replacement, you know, again, that's an estimate, so you could trim 10 there, 10% there. So you got 600, you got another 1,000, and then conferences, maybe you can pull maybe 500 off of that. So I think 7,500 is probably the most I would recommend you touch.
Done.
Okay, that's under 10%.
Okay. You guys good with that? That's 75
Okay,
on
so
that?
that's gonna bring it down to 88.5. 87.5. So that number's gonna be 87.5. All right, so police department, I think you guys did a pretty good job with this, because you're essentially gonna gain 875 off of 910, so it's 35,000 there, 35,000 there, so it's 70,000, almost $80,000 off of this line. So that's maybe the best wiggling you've done so far today. All right, traffic control, the sheet was there, I don't see a lot I don't see a lot there that you can do much with, because it's mostly salary.
And these are for the stops?
Crossing guard?
That's crossing guard.
Oh, that's right.
I'm sorry, that's the, meter guy.
Okay.
Crossing guard is 8,000. Now, the crossing guard, it all depends on what you wanna do with line painting. After this horrible winter, I think you're not gonna be able to get away with not doing some line painting. But I would, right now, I would leave those, let's see where we're at.
Right.
And then you
With
can
a
always,
with a possible if you have to.
revisit that.
Yeah.
okay? All right, fire department, you saw the numbers there. The capital reserve, they had put in for vehicle, I had talked about the fire truck reserve. I don't know whether you want to do something with that. This is gonna be broken out, this fire department capital reserve, that's gonna be broken out into two, because one's a type, one's a specific. So that you'll see next time that they'll have different numbers there. So my only question is fire truck.
Yeah, we did talk about reserve funds, what's the number we're throwing around there? Was it 20?
Yeah, I think so, I think it was.
Is that something that we still want to do, guys?
Yes, but I wanna find 20.
I think that I think it's more important that you put a reserve for a fire truck than a command vehicle, quite frankly.
I do too, but.
If you're gonna buy a command vehicle this year, then maybe you don't do a reserve for the command vehicle this year, you do one maybe next year, or the subsequent year. Because I don't know how you don't do a fire truck that you badly need to do. And we're still paying debt, because last time it was bonded.
Right, no.
Not to say you're still not gonna bond some of
We're still
it.
gonna.
Yeah, but
bonding it
it's
unless
just,
We do get a gift.
Where's the, what year are they saying, again, I apologize, I wasn't. What
Oh,
year are
that's
they saying we're gonna need it?
There's two.
Well, they got three trucks, one's in 1999, one's in 95, and one's in 01.
it's an old fleet.
The rescue vehicle is the 99,
Right, which is limited, he said limited use now, right?
you know, because it really is too light for
Right,
what
so-
it has to carry.
If we're
Because I
gonna-
think did the board approve the command vehicle
Yes.
purchase? Okay,
From
so,
this year's budget.
for this year's budget, so if you're already buying the vehicle,
And
then,
that's different usage, it's just really a command vehicle, it's really just a commuting.
It's like a
coming
fly
from.
car.
Right. So it's got less wear than you would think, trucks.
I said with a truck room rent into the fire truck reserve.
you have a contract that's
Don't
still
pay
good
rent.
until next year. You can you'll have a chance to
I know
renegotiate that
I know.
contract,
That's what I'm saying though.
but,
They really want a new truck, but I think we should just do that. What kind of repairs are we paying on these trucks?
Was it 14,500? Was that what we had? What did we have there?
Vehicle maintenance, yeah, 14,000.
so, it all depends on what you want to do with the, I think, but really the only main question here is what reserve funds you're gonna do.
Well, my thing is, and again, I don't wanna, I know that they're being more accurate this year. But looking at last year's budget and the non-use and this year's budget, I would just, I'll let the fire department do it, but let's cut $20,000 and put it into a reserve fund. At the very least, cut 20. Cut 10 off the top and then 20 off that for a reserve fund. And do what you need to do to buy what you need to buy. Because they're not responsible for the truck when we need it. We are. But they're responsible for the individual items.
Again, and Charlie being in the fire department probably can answer this the best, but it is obviously, if the fire department did specifically not spend money for the O2 because they wanted to have money for this vehicle, then an argument can be made that the 36,000 you can do some modifications to it, okay? Because if you take 35 off of what was budgeted last year, or this year, you're left with 27. So if you're left with 27 for this year, and you say, okay, we can do it 27, then you found yourself $9,000 right there off of the O2 for the budgeted O2 for this year. Because I'm assuming that the appropriation was 63,000, which is listed here, 63,316, and 35 off of that isn't gonna be spent because it's being repurposed.
Right.
And yet, we also must remember that we're putting 25,000 in a reserve fund in order to purchase those self-contained breathing apparatus as soon as the standard is
Right.
fixed. So we know that that money that had previously been budgeted will eventually be utilized.
But they wanna
I'm
put that
just-
in the budget, they're setting that up now.
Yeah, they want to put it in reserve. They also will attempt to apply for federal funding to offset some of that.
Where are those breathing apparatuses in here? Is that the bunker gear?
No, it's on the summary sheet, SCBA fund.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm back and forth with the fire department, because one side of me says, if we can do all of this, and we have room, but the other side of me says, if I compare it to the town's cost of fire protection, it's double. So I'm on both sides. I really, to be honest with you, I am not sure I have the right answer, so I'm kind of up to, whatever you guys decide.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot in here that we can cut. I do like the idea of the 20,000 or whatever we decided for the reserve fund for the truck. I think, even though it's late in the game, I think we should get that started.
Okay. So really, the only discussion that I would throw out there is do you want to go with the response car fund this time around, or do you want to forego that since the car's being bought and use
Oh,
it
definitely forgo that.
for the fire truck?
Where's the response fund called?
It's part of the.
Command
Oh,
vehicle.
the 8,000?
8,000.
Yeah.
Charlie, refresh my memory, the SCBA's, they're all ready to go, right? I mean, they're all at the end of their life, is that what he was saying?
Well, the standard is going to change.
Right.
And we were anticipating having to replace them all,
And
and it's been held up.
if we had to replace them all next year, is that the price that we would have to pay, or is it a lot more than that?
They're like 5,000 apiece.
How many do we get?
I think we'll need 23.
Yeah, so that's what
It's like 120,000.
that's why they're anticipating.
Now, some of them, I think, can be upgraded. They have to all sound an alarm at the same time.
Got you.
You can't have a mixed bag, so.
Right, I mean, that, I
So,
remember what it
right
was.
off the bat, without question, they're looking for a new car, we're not putting anything for a fund for that for a couple of years, because it's definitely gonna go to the truck.
Well, at least 1 year you can get away with it
Right.
because you got a brand new vehicle,
That's
but,
what-
but it, the
But the
main
other one's only
reason-
2 years old, so if they can't take care of those for a good.
Oh, the other command vehicle's only 2 years old?
No, it's older than that. It's 2007.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
It wasn't new when they got it?
yeah, it was 2007. It was new when we got
I
it.
thought we only got it like 2 or 3 years ago.
No, the idea was to buy a new one every 5 years. So 2007 will be coming up in 2017, I think.
That's 10 years.
Or-
Yeah, it's been 7 years. 7 to 14.
The way that's the 8,000 being set aside, it's as if there's an anticipation it's gonna be